Welcome back to another episode of the A Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Alex, a big weekend in boxing. We had I'm going to say he's the number one pound for pound boxing attraction right now. Saul Canelo Alvarez taking on Billy Joe Saunders in what was a highly anticipated fight. A very technical, difficult fight, yet Canelo still found a way to beat Canelo, and ever since that Mayweather fight, he's just been able to find a way to win and wins in style. Mm-hmm. Billy Joe Saunders not coming out for the 9th round. Give me your quick thoughts on Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, you know what? Canelo looked good. I thought some of the rounds were competitive, but apparently, I think I was just fooled. I think maybe Canelo just turned it up, and I thought they were competitive. That's why I kind of had that impression that, okay, Billy Joe Saunders came to fight, but it seemed like Canelo kicked it into another gear. And once he kicked it into that gear, it was it for Saunders. He just didn't have, I feel, the determination that he talked about. There's a video that surfaced about, he was talking about that, what's his name? Daniel Dubois, when he quit against Joe Joyce. And, now Billy Joe Saunders quits. He's, you can say all he wants that the corner stopped it, but I saw him not even, give not even try to fight his corner. You know what I mean? It just looked like he succumbed to his injuries and he was done.
He succumbed to his injuries, and he also succumbed to Canelo's pressure. That 8th round. Now, look, I don't know how active you are on Twitter, but on Twitter, people have been sending, actually Fernando Vargas posted something too on Instagram, pictures of different guys and females, because I've seen a couple of pictures of female fighters with the big old blown up eyes and just, broken, obviously, orbital damage, cheek damage, stuff like that. And boxing is a violent sport, and, sometimes you don't feel it because of the adrenaline. Some guys react better to certain situations than others. Billy Joe Saunders is being drugged through the mud, mainly because of what he said. I don't think anybody's doubting his heart if he would have kept his mouth shut. You know what I mean? If you're gonna talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. And Billy Joe Saunders definitely wasn't able to on Saturday. I saw him wilt in that 8th round. Mm-hmm. Now, the shot from Canelo to the eye socket was definitely a big, difficult shot, but it was how Billy Joe Saunders reacted after that shot that really showed, that he was done. Mm-hmm. Canelo just started putting it on him. Canelo started taunting him with, cheering on the crowd and stuff like that. When you saw Billy Joe Saunders' body language at the end of that 8th round, I had a feeling Canelo was going to get himself a highlight reel knockout.
Yeah.
So, Billy Joe Saunders broken orbital. He had surgery on Sunday. I think he said he fractured the top bone and then the bottom cheekbone in 3 different places. He did have surgery, so, the injury is legit. But what's next for Canelo?
I'm not sure. Well, Caleb Plant. That seems to be the fight to make, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna make it next. I don't see why not.
The 2 big names are obviously Caleb Plant because of the IBF title, and then Boo Boo Andrade, who
he's not fighting Boo Boo. He's never gonna fight him.
He keeps trying to wiggle his way into a Canelo fight, and it just doesn't seem like it's gonna happen for him.
Yeah, I think Boo Boo needs to stick to the names that aren't Canelo right now. I think he needs to focus on getting one of those fights. I like Boo Boo Andrade as a fighter. I really like him. I like his style and everything, but I think he needs to just focus on other guys right now. You know what I mean? Because he can't get a big fight to save his life. Yeah. Just everybody seems they can avoid him at all costs, and he never gets the fight for whatever reason. I don't know if he's just not exciting enough. He doesn't draw it's a low reward, high risk type of fight. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, but to touch up on this entire fiasco, you know what? Canelo looked really good. I thought his timing and his speed was, his timing was definitely better than I expected. It seemed like he's just getting better and better in every fight. And yeah, I mean, you know what? Billy Joe Saunders, he definitely had to eat his words, man, because he definitely was dragged through the mud because he was, that video surfaced of him saying that guy quit against Joe Joyce. He said you got to get carried out on a stretcher. You got to be able to go out on your shield. And Billy Joe Saunders did none of that. I mean, as soon as his orbital bone broke, I think he just said, you know what, screw it. It's done.
He himself broke.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to watch what you say sometimes because it might just come back to bite you in the ass. Anyways, you know what? What is there more to say? I mean, 73,000.
Let's talk about the event. The event in general was amazing, dude.
The event was good. The undercards are, I don't know about the undercards. They were kind of boring.
Well, that's the fight card. I'm talking about the event, the spectacle of Cowboy Stadium with that many people. The entrances I thought were epic. The entrances reminded me like of a old school like WWE entrance or like old school. Remember when Fernando Vargas walked out against Trinidad and he knocked down that wall? Stuff like that just, it's not just the normal guy walking down to even though those entrances are cool when you see the team walk with the fighter down to the ring, but that image of Canelo with the Aguilars on the stage while they were singing, epic performance, epic entrance. Just shows the kind of superstar that Canelo is. I don't think there's much else to say. You have any more comments on this fight?
Not really. You know what? Just great showing by Canelo, and I can't wait to see him fight Caleb Plant.
It has to be Caleb Plant.
It's gonna be next for sure because he's got the chance to unify the division. So. I can't wait for that one. One
thing that was brought up on Twitter today, and this is real quick, Plant versus Canelo stuff. Plant being PBC, Canelo being Matchroom, DAZN, whatever you want to call it. Any chance that Plant prices himself out?
No, they already backed him into a corner, man. He's got nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, he has the last belt.
He can price himself all he wants. I don't think that's gonna happen. They're gonna find a way.
Yeah.
They're gonna go, there's no way out of this one. So,
and if you're Caleb Plant, you take the payday, dude. You're not gonna get a bigger payday, even if you beat Canelo. I don't think you get a bigger payday, even though you beat Canelo, because he's just not that same draw. He's not gonna have the Mexican community behind him. Hell, the American community is not even behind him.
I don't think Caleb Plant's scared of Canelo, but I don't think he'll beat him. I just think that those type of styles, it's going to take a lot more than those type of styles to beat a guy like Canelo right now. Because it seems like he's getting better every fight. And it seems like he's just, look what he did at Billy Joe Saunders' orbital bone. I thought this fight
with one punch.
Yeah, with one punch. I thought this fight was going to go like, okay, he's going to land a couple body shots. He's going to take the wind out of the sails. And then, second half of the fight, Billy Joe Saunders is going to wilt. He did land some body shots, but it just seemed like one shot is all it took to really, break his face. And it was crazy. The timing on that uppercut. It seemed like he just knew what he was going to do before he did it.
Was there anything Billy Joe Saunders did that you liked?
His head movement. I think there was some head movement where he was actually able to make Canelo miss at times, but I think Canelo just was setting him up now that I look at it again, You
look at it again, he was landing on the shoulders, body shots that were blocked. It just, everything was hard to the lower body, knowing that the head wasn't always going to be there.
Even if you look back at the Daniel Jacobs fight, when Canelo fought Daniel Jacobs, he hit Daniel Jacobs with that same exact punch.
Yep.
And I think at the time when you're watching the fight, you don't really see all that stuff, but then you go back and you look at some of these other fights and you're like, oh man, he's been throwing that punch, so he knows, if a guy's gonna duck down. Billy Joe Saunders was ducking down the entire fight.
And if I'm not mistaken, in that 8th round, he threw it like 2 times before that. One missed, one landed, but it didn't land on the orbital. One landed pretty flush. One of them missed, and then that third one is the one that really did the damage.
And Billy Joe Saunders leaned right into it too. Yeah. So, I mean, that was even more force added to the punch. So, I mean, hey, it was definitely crazy. I'm pretty sure Canelo's gonna unify the division, and it's gonna be great. Hopefully, David Benavidez and all them guys are able to get a chance at the belts once he unifies the division. Do you see him going up to 175? Beterbiev, all those guys up there?
That's difficult to say. That 175 jump is a little big jump. Is a big jump. I think the style of Beterbiev is a good style for Canelo to face. You know, Beterbiev's not going to move around, not going to box. He's going to be there to get hit. However, the guy hits like a fucking truck. So, you know, if Canelo can't slow him down like he can Billy Joe Saunders, Daniel Jacobs, you know, Callum Smith, all these guys that he's been able to slow down and really take over fights. Well, what if he can't slow the guy down? What if Beterbiev just keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming? And, you know, can he hold up to 12 rounds of pressure from a guy that big? You know, that's the type of fights we want to see, but I don't know if we're going to see them.
I also on Instagram, I saw that one of the trainers, I don't know if it was from Billy Joe Saunders' corner. I'm not sure if it was from his corner. I don't think it was. But he said that this could be Billy Joe Saunders' last fight. He said that Billy Joe Saunders, it just seemed like he didn't want to continue, you know, it just seemed like he wanted the way out. And, it's not understandable. I mean, you got to know what you signed up for, but, I think in the way that he did it, you know, I think in the way that he talked about that guy, and then not just that, but he was being a real asshole, man. To some of those, there was a Mexican reporter that he told him that his breath smelled like shit.
Yep.
And you know what? Hey, when you start saying things like that guy's just trying to do his job. I understand you're trying to, you know, make it Britain versus Mexico and England versus Mexico, all this type of stuff. But when you're trying to attack an interview, like a reporter who's just trying to do his job, okay, you're crossing the line there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Go after a fighter, go after those type of things, but don't go after a reporter who's just trying to do his job.
Completely agree.
And embarrass him on live ESPN.
And that's why people are dragging Billy Joe Saunders through the mud.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. That's definitely bullshit. But do you think that this is his last fight? Maybe he just thinks, you know what, if I can't beat the top guy in the division, do you think he settles for a Boo Boo Andrade, maybe those lesser name guys?
Look, guys like Billy Joe Saunders have such a big following in the UK that he could go back to the UK and fight under the radar and make pretty good money. So do I think it's his last fight? Probably not.
Like Joshua? Well, before he fought Klitschko? He was fighting a bunch of nobodies, and then
he
made a name and everything.
He was making a name for himself fighting nobodies. Yeah, exactly.
Selling out the stadium.
Exactly. You know, Billy Joe Saunders can just fight a bunch of guys under the radar, make some good money, and be set. I think this is his last big fight, maybe world title fight.
And you know what? Now that you start to look at, he broke his orbital bone, cheekbone's broken. Take, for example, Kell Brook. Kell Brook, when he fought Triple G, he broke one of his eye sockets, right? Or one of his orbital bones. It just seemed like he was never the same after that one. But he had a really good showing against Earl Spence. But in that Earl Spence fight, he got both of his orbital bones broken.
Yep.
His eye sockets both broken. And after that, I mean, he was nowhere near the same Kell Brook. He was never the same. So we're gonna see if Billy Joe Saunders is able to even stand in there with bigger name guys like Benavidez, Boo Boo Andrade, maybe Charlo if
talk of Charlo moving up.
If he moves up. Who else is a good guy at 168 that may be in the running for maybe a Billy Joe Saunders fight?
Look, Callum Smith. He held titles. Yeah. A title at 168. So I mean, big, tall, lengthy guy. That's a guy who caused problems for anybody. So an overseas matchup for them too. That'd be nice too. On the undercard, Elwin Soto. You talked earlier. The undercard sucked. It was
Yeah.
pretty bad. Elwin Soto had a win over his opponent. I forgot his name,
Yeah,
but it was a terrible fight. I thought it was a mismatch. However, Soto didn't look too good towards the end of that fight. You know, he was getting hit a lot. He wasn't, he didn't look super impressive. Any thoughts on Elwin Soto?
Yeah, I mean, like people were saying, I guess he turned down the fight with Bam.
That's
Bam
the big
Rodriguez.
story. Yeah.
I thought that ref, it was an awful stoppage. I don't know. What's it? Who?
Lawrence Cole.
Lawrence Cole. Jesus. Lawrence Cole, you are awful.
Lawrence Cole has been awful for a long time.
Like the guy was throwing back. He wasn't even hurt. Why'd you stop the fight? Like you let this guy take you let this guy get his, head knocked around for freaking 5 rounds and you're going to stop it when he's fighting back and he's not even wobbled. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It just
a bad stoppage.
It's awful. But I guess what's his name? Jason Soto?
Elwin Soto.
Elwin Soto. Yeah, I guess he's ducking Bam. That's what people are saying on Instagram, Twitter, RGBA, on the Robert Garcia Unfiltered. They said he was ducking him. I guess Bam was offered the fight. Bam Rodriguez was offered the fight. For this fight, I guess he came into training camp. Then somebody in Elwin Soto's corner, or it might have been him, that just turned the fight down. And what weight is this at? Is it at 108?
108.
It's 108?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully they give Bam the chance and stops ducking him.
Well, what was it on? What big DAZN? There was a big DAZN card before this, not too long ago. I forgot who was the main event, but on the undercard there was on Chocolatito Gallo. On the undercard was the other 108 champion. He's from Japan. I forgot his name though. But there's talks of Soto unifying with that guy because neither guy wants to fight Bam. So,
really?
Well, I mean, if you're them, look, Bam, if you guys don't know, Jesse Rodriguez from Texas, best 108 pounder, I think, right now. Just hasn't had that opportunity. These guys are going to try to milk it. Hey, if we could get a payday for unification and then maybe fight Bam, okay, give me the payday first. But if you go fight Bam, there's no chance you're unifying because Jesse Rodriguez will take the belts from them. So okay. It could be a business ploy by those two fighters to say, hey, let's just unify, leave everybody else out of it.
Should we translate it for like Robert Garcia? Robert Garcia over there translating it for Soto.
Making his point. Made sure he got his point across.
You know what? It kind of went something like this. What's his name? Elwin Soto?
La Pulga.
Yeah, La Pulga. You know what? Te estás rajando contra Bam Rodriguez. Le tienes que dar la oportunidad de agarrar el título en 100. What is it? 108 libras. Y ya no te rajes. Tienes que pelear con él. That's what Robert Garcia said. I didn't say it.
Pretty much. Word for word.
Right. Bam needs to get a title.
He needs a title shot.
Because his brother already won one. He needs to get one.
Hey, and inside information. Bam kicks ass in the gym.
Hey, well, that's what we got to see. Yeah. We got to see some good. We got to see some good fights going on. The only time we see the best fight the best.
The only time I think we've seen him on American television, at least I've seen him in other fights, but his last fight on Top Rank, one of the Top Rank cards on ESPN, that was a good showing, and I think it's fights like that make it difficult for him to get a title fight.
Really?
Yeah, because he looked really good.
Okay.
Knocking out his opponent. So. Yeah, performance. Sometimes looking good is a bad thing.
That's true.
Looking good, everybody's like, "Oh shit, let me make some money somewhere else before this guy beats me."
Hey, it's kind of weird translating a little bit sometimes because, like, when you're thinking about it, it's kind of easier when you're thinking about it. You want to know about my first translating job that I actually had where I got paid for it?
Go for it.
Okay, so my mom, rest in peace, my mom, she set me up for this translating job. These two older people, they come to the house and, they're like, oh, I got to go to the doctor, but, they don't speak English. So it's like, we don't really know what they say and this and that. And like, oh, well, my son speaks both and, I could go translate for that. I'm like, Mom, I can't speak like really fluent Spanish. Like some words I don't know like how to translate them from English to Spanish, I kind of just translate it in my own way. And before I was even younger back then. So I was like, man, I don't know if like, what if I say the wrong thing and it's it's a doctor's appointment. You know what I mean? What if I say the wrong thing? I give the wrong measurement and that's it. It's over. You know what I mean? So
they get the wrong medication.
Yeah. Let alone I got paid for it. And hey, you know what? I think I'm better than that translator that they hire. What's his name?
You gotta, I don't know his name, but you gotta understand that translating in the heat of the moment like that is difficult.
It is.
It's difficult, and I don't know.
You have no preparation.
Look, I don't know if these guys are
no training camp, no nothing.
I don't know if these guys are certified translators because there's like, like you could go to school and get the degree to be a medical translator, a translator of law.
I definitely didn't go to school. I just winged it.
We just learned Spanish growing up.
Doctor was like, you got to eat more veggies and all that. Tienes que tomar cerveza and you got to drink beer and all this other stuff, man. I just winged it. I got paid for it.
Oh, man. Also on the undercard, there was actually a pretty good fight. Kieran Conway against Sulaiman Sissoko. I thought it was a pretty good fight. I don't know about you. What did you think?
You know what? Is that the one where the guy got dropped in the ninth round?
Yeah, when he got hit with like a weird uppercut in his eye or something.
And he turned his back and then he went down. But hey, I thought he was controlling the majority of the fight.
And then he got knocked down.
And then he got knocked down. I guess one of the judges gave him a 97, 93 score for
the other guy.
Yeah, for the other guy. I was like, what? What's going on? But hey, that's corruption in boxing for you, man. I'm tired of watching boxing judges sometimes. These judges suck.
All right, two guys I want to talk about on the undercard.
All right.
Keyshawn Davis and Mark Castro.
Okay. Yeah. Two prospects coming up.
Solid prospects. Keyshawn Davis, I think, is a very, very good professional fighter. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. He's translated from the amateurs to the pros very well. He has some things to work on, but I think he has a bright future in boxing.
Okay.
Any thoughts on Keyshawn Davis?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch his fight, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm taking your word for it. You've already spoke highly of him on another podcast as well. So,
yep.
Hey, hopefully, one guy I have seen a lot is Mark Castro. In his professional fights, I guess some people haven't been like too impressed by what he's been doing. But I've seen him in the amateurs, and the guy seems like he kind of reminds me of a Triple G in the amateurs because he seems like he just overwhelms everybody. And
that's what he did to this opponent on the undercard. He overwhelmed his opponent from like as soon as the bell rang, he came out and he was throwing bombs. He really, really put an offensive beating on his opponent, but I will say that at times it still looked a little sloppy. So,
I mean, he only has 4 fights?
This was the third pro fight.
Third pro fight. You know what? He has a lot to learn, I think, still.
Yeah, I mean, he has a long way to go. And a lot of people online are comparing Davis to Mark Castro, like because they're 3 fights. I think both have 3 fights.
They're kind of the same weight class, or
I think they are.
Okay,
or they're pretty close. But they pretty much debuted around the same time and stuff like that. So they're comparing them. I think Davis is a step ahead skill-wise and maybe experience-wise right now. I think he's looking a lot sharper than Mark Castro. But Mark Castro is definitely the more exciting fighter. So, I mean, sometimes excitement's not always a good thing. You want to look sharp. You want to not get hit. I mean, he didn't get hit too much in this fight, but he just looks less polished, we'll say.
Okay.
But I'm still keeping an eye on them too. And I would keep an eye on them if I were you guys.
Okay.
Let's see. Anything else boxing we need to talk about? I don't think so, right?
No, I think we're good for
this
portion.
Moving on to the UFC. There was a UFC fight night. Marina Rodriguez beat Michelle Waterson by unanimous decision. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, from what I saw, I think Marina Rodriguez was just too much for Michelle Watterson. Does Michelle Watterson still train with Jackson Wink and the guys over there with John Jones?
I'm not sure, but she didn't look too...
She's been on a skid for a while already.
Is it me or does she look like her weight class is just... Maybe she needs to try to go lower.
I don't know what Michelle Watterson needs to do, but I mean... I really thought she would come out with the win against Marina Rodriguez, but it just didn't happen. I'm not sure, what's going on. But, yeah, I guess Marina Rodriguez, who did she call out? She called out somebody.
I can't remember.
Yeah, me neither. I did I saw an interview, but I can't remember who she called out right now. What weight did she fight at?
Flyweight.
Flyweight? What is that, 115?
Think so.
It has to be 115.
No, 125.
Is it 125?
Yeah, that's 125.
Oh, you know what? There was talks of her fighting Mackenzie Dern. Is Mackenzie Dern at 125?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was talks on that. I know that's what I saw on Instagram, but I think that was just like a fantasy matchup sort of thing. Yeah, but Mackenzie Dern is up there right now. So hopefully
we'll see
that goes down.
On the co-main event was an interesting fight for as long as it lasted. Alex Morano upset Donald Cerrone with the first round TKO. Talk to me about Donald Cerrone, man, because this was not a good showing.
Yeah, I think Donald Cerrone needs to hang it up before he gets hurt, man. It's not looking good for Donald Cerrone right now. You know what? He was inactive, and it seemed like Alex Morano just knew what to do. He knew to step on the gas early. He came out and threw a Conor McGregor. He really did. He came out threw a I think it was a straight right or a straight left or whatever. Donald Cerrone ducked it, or he got out of the way of it. And then Alex Morano just put it on him. And then after that, Donald Cerrone does what he always does in the first round. If he's getting beat up in the first round, he just covers up and he just,
tries to survive till the bell.
I don't even think he tries to survive. I think he just waits for the ref to stop it. You know what I mean? And I think that Dana White also sees that, because I saw on a notification on ESPN on my phone, I actually just got it tonight, that Dana White said that Donald Cerrone's next fight at 155 is going to be his last.
Okay.
And I think they're looking to cut him. I think they're tired of it.
Welterweight's 170, right? So he fought this fight at 170?
Yeah. And it's nothing to knock Donald Cerrone. You know what? He's a legend, really, in the UFC. He's been
around.
He leads a lot of records in the UFC, everything like that. But I think his time has come. I think him being inactive, the surgeries that he's had a lot of surgeries and
injuries.
Yeah, in his abdomen, like he's had a lot of surgeries going on. There's actually a scar he has in his abdomen. So I don't know if what it is. I think he just has that knack for fighting and everything like that. But Dana White came out and said that, this is going to be his last fight at 155 and Donald Cerrone needs to do something, because if not, he's getting released or he's getting cut.
Yeah. And hey, maybe Dana White's doing it for his own good, for Cerrone's own good.
And it could.
Sometimes the fighters don't want to walk away, and they need somebody to tell them, hey, that's it.
Yeah. So, before they get really hurt.
Yeah. Also on the undercard, Neal Magne pulled off a big win over Jeff Neal.
Man, I was really thinking about betting on Neal Magne for whatever reason, but it kept popping into my mind. You know what? Neal Magne against Michael Chiesa. Neal Magne didn't look too good. And Geoff Neal is a killer.
He is.
He's a killer, man.
Dude, he was throwing bombs.
This guy knocked out Mike Perry. You don't just knock out Mike Perry. You know what I mean? Like, you could beat Mike Perry, but you don't knock him out. And Geoff Neal, he knocked him out. You know what I mean? So how Neal Magne pulled this win off, I don't know, but he definitely pulled it off. And hey, tip my hat off to Neal Magne. He proved me wrong, that's for sure.
I think if Magne stays away from the wrestlers,
because
a little bit when Jeff Neal, when they kind of got into the clinches and stuff, Magne looked a little uncomfortable. But when they were at distance, man, Magne was just throwing everything. Marcos Rogerio de Lima won a unanimous decision over Maurice Green. Interesting point in the fight when he punches him after the bell, because Maurice Green had like his fingers in his...
that was the fight.
Lima's eye or something.
And he calls him a mofo and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that was crazy. But De Lima just pretty much took him down and just ground and pounded him the whole time. That was a heavyweight bout. Gregor Gillespie taking on Diego Ferreira. Ferreira weighed in, I believe, 4.5 pounds over the lightweight limit, and still got stopped by Gregor Gillespie. Any thoughts on Gillespie?
Yeah, I think Gregor Gillespie, I guess, from what people are saying, he didn't look too good. He did have a tough fight with Diego Ferreira. I think that first round was really close, but I think in that second round is where Gillespie just he kicked it up a gear and he kind of just was able to get him out of there. You know what I mean? So
able to overwhelm him.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people kind of expected more out of Gregor Gillespie because he's like the prospect coming up. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of buzz around him. His only loss is to Kevin Lee, where he got head kicked and he got knocked out.
Yeah.
So I know Conor McGregor tweeted something about it with two big
something
fishes in his hand.
I don't know what the heck.
Yeah, I still don't know what he's talking about. I mean, I really don't. But yeah, I mean, hey, great win for Gregor Gillespie.
Yeah, I thought he looked. He overcame some adversity, and his post-fight interview. I don't know if you saw it, but really emotional, talking about everything he's gone through since that Kevin Lee knockout, stuff like that. So this was a good win for him to get back on the right track, and we'll see where he goes from here. Yeah. Kyle Dawkins against Phillip Hawes was actually a pretty good fight. The opener, Phillip Hawes ended up winning, unanimous decision, close. I think the judges had it 3-0, or two of the judges had it 3-0, but I thought the fight was pretty close.
Okay.
Any thoughts on Hawes Dawkins? No.
I didn't. Was that Phillip Hawes the guy that every time he got punched, it looked like he lost a piece of his hair? Yeah, it's the truth, man. It looked like every time he got punched, like the back of his hair was like coming off. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it looked like those ice creams that have like some on them. I don't know if they were like if it's real hair or what, but he had like bald spots in the back of his head. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but every time he got punched, it seemed like the spot got bigger and bigger. So I don't know if that's what do you think?
I don't know what it was. I mean, maybe it was I don't know. Dude, I really don't know what to say. Yeah. But yeah, his hair was falling off. I don't know what that was.
I noticed it.
On our last podcast, we talked about how this UFC card was snake bit. There was 3 fights called off, or 3 fights canceled pretty much. And then there was a 4th fight canceled the morning of the fights on Saturday. Amanda Ribas against Angela Hill, which was the fight that we were looking forward to, got called off because Amanda Ribas tested positive for COVID. They're looking to reschedule that fight, but man,
I think they already rescheduled it for June.
If all goes well, of course, with the return. Because some people, COVID's really getting them.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Jason Tatum, the power forward for the Celtics? He has to use an inhaler now every game.
Does he really?
Yes, he does.
Wow.
Since he tested positive for COVID.
Dang.
So yeah, COVID, and that's a healthy 22, 23, 24-year-old guy. Yeah, that's scary stuff. Anything else you want to talk about from over the weekend?
No, I think we're pretty good. I mean, some good fights coming up this weekend, I can't wait for.
Yep, another good UFC card. I believe there's some boxing also. I'll make sure I double check the schedule, but we'll have our preview podcast out later this week. And we want to thank you guys for watching this episode of the A Sports Podcast. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace out, guys. Thanks a lot.